Hi, everybody. My name is David Thompson. It's a great pleasure to be here in the metaverse to present at a metaverse seminar. This is a recording, of course. Hopefully, I'll be there in person, but I thought I'd make the recording in Glue because Tuesdays are Glue's days, as they say. Just so everybody knows what's going on here, I'm in virtual reality wearing my headset in my room, and I'm recording from my PC, which is over there. That's the camera person. I've got a nice timer in front of me. I've got my slides in front of me. You can't see them. So that's why it's kind of like cheating doing presentation in the metaverse. Anyway, so I'm going to start my clock. Yeah, so my name is David Thompson. As you can see, I'm solution owner for digital platform at Alfred Maritime. And yeah, it's my great pleasure to be here to present to you building the digital platform for Meyer. And I'm going to try and relate that, of course, to how platforms are part of building the industrial metaverse, which is which is the main topic that we're here for today. So this is what I'd like to cover. I'll give a brief introduction to Alfred and, of course, myself. And then I want to talk about the role of platforms in building the metaverse and how they've been a kind of fundamental accelerator for the web before that and probably now the metaverse. Then I'm going to take it into the meat of the presentation, which is building data platforms for businesses and why building a dataverse is really important to build up trust in people using industrial metaverse applications. And we'll go into a couple of examples of how Alfred is applying that to build the digital ship platform as part of the overall digital platform for the Meyer Group. And then we'll summarize and see how we go from there. So who is Alfred? Well, Alfred is the digital venture of the Meyer Group. It's effectively a startup formed in 2019, and we are a group of data scientists, developers, and marine operations and shipbuilding digitalization experts. And we generally we develop our own hypothesis about digitalization use cases and the use of technology. And sometimes we develop them into business cases, which then turn into fully blown products that we're bringing to the market. As you can see there, we're currently focused on the provision of data and intelligence to help Meyer build the next generation of greener vessels. And in case you're wondering, so Alfred comes from the butler of Batman. So it was called Alfred. And we like this analogy because basically Alfred is bringing Batman the information he needs to do his missions before they really happen. So usually Alfred is one step ahead of the game, which is the paradigm that we wanted to use when we built Alfred Maritime. So a little bit about my background and how I ended up to be here or in Turku, hopefully at the same time. My background's as a naval architecture, sort of educational background, but as you can see, spent the beginning of my career working with 3D design tools for shipbuilding, and then product lifecycle management and data handover mostly for marine customers. I then got into 3D about 2015, working with game engines, which we'd acquired, and then AR, VR at the top. And this whole thing kind of fascinated me, how people could collaborate in AR and VR in digital kind of immersive experiences, or where the computing was displayed around them. And this led me to Gravity Sketch because I wanted to know what it was like to work for a startup. And I also wanted to see what kind of product could make people use virtual reality for hours on end to do their main day job. And that's the case in Gravity Sketch. So I can talk about that over a beer if anybody's interested. Then in July last year, I joined Alfred Maritime. I was very happy to be part of the Meyer Group again, who had worked with back in IBM, and to work in the startup environment, but under the umbrella of a very large and established company. So what's the role of platforms in building the metaverse? Well, I think that most of us would agree that the World Wide Web is built on these building blocks. In fact, any major computing paradigm change has been built on various layers in order to get there. And usually, like with the World Wide Web, there was this hardware layer required at the bottom. So the internet needed to exist for the World Wide Web to exist. So the servers, affordable clients in the form of PCs, or I can't remember what they were called, mini computers, and the cable infrastructure. That all needs to exist before you can do any of these other things. Other significant things on that path towards the World Wide Web, protocols, a standardized way for people to create content for the World Wide Web, content creation tools like you can see there. So WordPress wasn't the only one, of course, but it's the one that people know that makes it very easy for people to create their own web page. And these tools really helped individuals to put their web page out there, to make their little shop on the World Wide Web, and started to make the World Wide Web a more useful place to be. But I think we'll all agree that it was platforms that really transformed it into an extremely useful place to be commercially. So we had content creation platforms like YouTube allowing creators to make money from their work, creating content. There were e-commerce platforms, of course, like Amazon, which is giant now, allowing smaller companies, well, effectively swallowed all those smaller web pages that were created in WordPress, but it's effectively giving those shops away a channel to a huge market. And then, of course, social networking, social media channels, and platforms like Facebook as well, giving people completely new ways to use the World Wide Web and fundamentally transforming it into this kind of useful tool that it is today. So I think the same thing is going on with the metaverse. So clearly we need hardware for the metaverse even to be a thing. And a lot of this has been happening over the last few years. So we've got the internet, which provides us with a network. We've got mobile computing, gaming devices. But more recently, we've got affordable immersive devices. So AR and VR headsets, head mounted things. We've got projection technology. So you don't need to wear a headset that project digital content into the space around you. And we've got scanning technology, which is developing very quickly these days with nerfs and smurfs and Gaussian splatting and all these kind of things. And then in the same way, there are standards which help people to build content for the metaverse. We've got all these kind of standards. We've clearly got content creation tools. So game engines have been around for a while, but they're the primary tool people use to create content for the metaverse. Although there are, of course, the more sort of decentralized non-platform ways of doing that directly in Web XR, Web AR, and writing the code for that. And of course, content creation tools build on top of that and allowed many more people to make content for the metaverse, which, unlike the web, is not web pages and websites and links. It's experiences, spaces, worlds, and systems. However, platforms appear to be making their presence felt in the metaverse as well. So we've all heard about Fortnite, Roblox, and then some of the more immersive ones like VR Chat and Roblox. And these Rec Room, these platforms help content creators to create content and to distribute them more efficiently. That's one of the main things they do. And of course, the platform owners monetize that, but they do help individuals get their content out there in a more effective way. So platforms, I think, are accelerating the development of this emerging metaverse, which we're seeing just now. And there's some pretty good reasons for that. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but if you go through a platform, you get instant access to many more users than you would if you just made a web XR experience. You get the network effects of them liking it, telling other people. You get trust. So if you build an experience in Rec Room and it's rated by other people to be a good experience, then people will come to your experience because they trust that rating system of Rec Room. There's efficiencies of scales, consistency of experience, and no need to reinvent the wheel technically. So this is why Royal Caribbean down here at the bottom used Fortnite to make their Icon of the Seas experience, and why, of course, Nike go to Roblox to make their metaverse experience. So people go there and they know that they're getting a genuine experience. So I think there's a similar thing going on in the industrial metaverse, but it's a building block in the industrial metaverse that needs to exist, which doesn't need to exist in the metaverse. And that is to make the data that is going to feed the experiences in the industrial metaverse trustworthy, accurate, and easily available. So that's why we talk about, or I've heard this before, build your dataverse before you build your industrial metaverse, because having the data in order of consistent or known quality is going to make people trust how people use that data in the metaverse experiences. So the same kind of diagram, there's this very similar kind of hardware layer, except I would add in here IoT, Industrial Internet of Things. There are slightly different protocols and standards required to build content for the industrial metaverse. So we're talking about Omniverse here with USD, STEP, PRC, kind of 3D exchange formats are very important. ISO standards or standards for taxonomy, so understanding how things are named and described is very important, how documents are described, how processes are described. These are very important things in the context of the industrial metaverse. And then on top of that, this is where I think industrial data platforms exist. So these platforms' primary role is to consolidate data within organizations in a common place, make it readily available, control access to it, and make sure it's of known quality. And it's on top of these industrial data platforms that it makes sense to build your content. So again, I think game engines are the primary content creation tool for industrial metaverse ones, although there are, of course, enterprise game engines out there as well, which a few of the big CAD companies have acquired over the years. I personally think the commercially available game engines will be more successful than these bespoke ones, but yeah, that's the thing. But either way, they both need to build experiences, systems, worlds, and spaces on a system, on top of industrial data, which needs to come from industrial data platforms. Now, this is a new one. There is this potential, I think, in the industrial metaverse for effectively the Fortnite, the storefront of experiences. And this could happen in two ways. It could be a software vendor like Dassault or Cadmatic making their shopfront where you can use their maybe your own version or the Meyer version of their applications. Or what I think is more likely is that organizations like the Meyer Group will have their own industrial metaverse front end, and this is maybe where we're going to build something here with the Nicoverse, where people can go into that front end, if you like, for the Meyer Group, and then access a variety of different industrial metaverse experiences. So I think industrial content platforms or the front end store or hub, if you like, is going to be a thing in the industrial metaverse as well. And ultimately, this stack of things is going to build, what we're going to find very normal in the future in the industrial metaverse. So what's Meyer doing about digital platforms? Well, we've got a couple of things going on, but to set the scene, I want to talk about this Gartner presentation about digital business platforms. So they wrote a paper back in 2018, I think, or even earlier, saying that if you want to become a digital business, then you probably need to look at the data within your organization through sort of 5 distinct lenses. So the first one of those lenses was a platform that serves your employees, so the information systems platform. The second one of those platforms or lenses was the platform that serves your partners, so suppliers, collaborators, subcontractors, and this is the ecosystem platform. And then you have a platform which serves your customers. So if you're a B2C company, this one is very important. If you're B2B, it's more important to work up there. And then almost the penultimate one is a platform for things. So if you build things or if you operate physical things, then this platform is becoming very important these days, so the IoT platform. And of course, these things intersect in the middle there, and this is where most companies are putting their money just now, is to develop a data and analytics platform, because this is where you're probably going to be doing your machine learning and applying your AI models on that middle part. So I've mapped typical digital transformation initiatives or imperatives against this chart. So if you're building a new cruise ship, you're going to work with your partners very much. If you're building a service for your customers, you're going to build that on IoT and customer experience. And if you're digitizing your shipyard, it's going to be using those information systems and your IoT platform most likely. And Meyer's doing 2 major data platform initiatives at the moment. So there's a team in Turku building the data platform, which is more for the internal work of building the ship, so the core business of the group. And then we've got Alfred looking at developing new services by building the digital ship platform here, serving the customers. And as I mentioned, not core business, but developing new business models over there. So in order to kind of break it down a little bit more, I've taken the three applications that Alfred is developing, and I've tried to draw where they get the data from. So we've got the Meyer Energy Management System here, which is an onboard efficiency dashboard, if you like. And what we do here is we take data from ship automation. So this is clearly an IoT platform, which we install on board the Meyer built vessels. We put through a data pipeline, we take data and put it into our IoT data lakes, an energy efficiency data lake. We then serve this up into the interface as monitoring information, but we take our AI models, which we develop based on 3 months worth of data, and we enhance that data with target, which are these red values you can see there. Now we go a step further, and we've actually got a digital twin. So we use our data collected from the vessel, and we run it through digital twins, which are running on an external digital twin platform from Samantum here in Finland as well. That's running on their platform, on their cloud. And this digital twin gives us some forward-looking advice, and we then pipe that into our interface again so that we can give the user some forecasting, basically using that digital twin. And this is all existing today, this is all working today, but we're thinking of going even the next step, which would be to provide data as a service from our data lake to third parties who are making equipment on board the vessel, so the OEMs. And the OEMs, they don't really have the money to do edge computing and a data collection on board every vessel that their pumps or heat exchangers are on, but they are interested in paying for that data as a service, just a subset of it, the heat exchangers, developing their own AI models, and then offering that through our interface again as a service, which is perhaps an add-on module for the end user. So this is all in place today, and I think that's a good example of how our product here is using a variety of different information across those different conceptual platforms. We've got the same here with Part Finder. It's a bit more straightforward. We take part information from our PLM and ERP, serve it up to the clients, but we give them a feedback channel so they can update their digital twin, and we can update our bill of material data back here. And then we've got here our kind of latest product, which is My Ship. It's basically the operating system of the ship, so the front end of your applications on board the vessel. So what we're thinking about doing here in its early stages is allowing partners to work with us to provide their applications through our front end on board the vessel. So we've got edge computing on board the vessel, and if people want to use any of these applications on board, we can provide that through our onboard compute. But we want to enhance that by adding information from our digital twin effectively on the data lake here, and enhancing their applications with additional information from a trustworthy source. So that's what we're doing at Alfred. It's very much a kind of bottom-up approach. We've taken the one use case of energy, and we're discovering now where all the different potential connections could be to different partners in the ecosystem. Now, I want to wrap up by talking about this theoretical scenario. So let's imagine the task is to redesign a public area in a cruise ship. So this beautiful restaurant here, you want to come up with, you've got your existing ship on the left, and you want to come up with this new design on the right. And this clearly requires a variety of different stakeholders to collaborate. And wouldn't it be cool if they could collaborate in a seamless, single metaverse, industrial metaverse experience to do that? And obviously to do that, I think this kind of thing needs to happen. So imagine this scenario again. You're collaborating in a space which is effectively the public area in the cruise ship. You'd probably need your 3D model or some version of it coming from the Meyer digital platform. You might have your automation experts in there, so Valmet people would be in there, and they would want to access process diagrams, sensor information, automation information from their digital platform while they're having these conversations in the industrial metaverse. The same thing with the cruise ship, the class society. they would want to be in there having this discussion, problem solving, coming up with plans and new ways of working. But they'd probably want to refer to information in their digital platforms or record notes or take pictures and all these kind of things and put it back into their digital backend platforms. So I think this is what needs to happen in order for the industrial metaverse to really become a super useful thing, like it's got the potential for. So in summary, platforms accelerate these paradigm shifts. Build the dataverse first. It's going to give people trust in your industrial metaverse things. And let's accept there's going to be probably lots of mini platforms built on a use case by use case basis, but think about joining them together on the cloud level. Don't forget information quality, and work together with your partners and customers in order to come up with the use cases and where data could flow from one platform to another one, where APIs are needed, and these kind of things. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. I think I've used all my time, so there's no time for questions. Well, anyway, this is a recording, so thanks for everything now, and I'll sign off and see you later.